Hello, Alan Rule here, and today I'm going to make a video of the reading order for St. Robert Bellarmine. Now, let me tell you something about St. Robert Bellarmine. But before I tell you about St. Robert Bellarmine, we're going to talk about a game from the 1990s that was part of my childhood, and it's part of my adulthood too, because the game is remade and being remade in several iterations. Final Fantasy VII. The original one came out in the 1990s. I didn't have a PlayStation. I played it on computer. And there was a way you could absolutely break the game. You could just completely break the game. There was a summon called Knights of the Round. And what Knights of the Round is, you use it, and it summons the Knights of the Round Table and King Arthur. And so that's 12 or 13 hits at about 7,000 each. And so that means it's like 100,000 in damage. I didn't do the math, but it completely breaks the game. Once you get this summon, it breaks the game. It kills every boss in one hit. The main bosses, there's some side bosses that it won't kill in one hit, but it kills every mainline story boss in one hit except the final boss. But you only have to do it twice, and then it kills them. The Knights of the Round completely breaks the game. In Catholic apologetics against Protestantism and Eastern Orthodoxy, there is an equivalent of Knights of the Round, and that is St. Robert Bellarmine and his writings. Now, going back to Knights of the Round. Knights of the Round actually takes a while to get in the game. It takes a while to get. You have to get a gold chocobo, and you have to breed a bunch of chocobos. You got to get the wonderful chocobo, and you have to race them to level them up, because they'll only give what you want if they're fully leveled. And you have to have yeah, and it takes forever. It takes forever, but once you get that gold chocobo, you break the game. It's over. So the Knights of the Round equivalent in Catholic apologetics, where you break the game, is Saint Robert Bellarmine, and I'm going to give you the reading order of Saint Robert Bellarmine to go from where to start, because it might be intimidating. There's a lot of stuff, thanks to Father Ryan Grant and sorry, not Father Ryan Grant and Father Kenneth, I believe it's Kenneth Baker, who's translating some more stuff. I'm going to tell you where to start, and then again, it takes a while because there's a large corpus of writing, just like it takes a while to get the Knights of the Round with the gold chocobo. The Knights of the Round, it takes a while, but once you do, you break the game. It's not even close anymore. It's not even fun in some ways. It's kind of like, well, here's Bellarmine, boom. All right. The first Bellarmine book to read is On the Marks of the Church. On the marks of the church, this is the soup. You know, if you have a multi-course meal, here's the soup. Here's the soup. You know, the 4 marks of the church. There's actually, I think, 15 marks he talks about. And it's easy. It's so easy to read. It goes through and it just knocks down one by one. It just beautiful, beautiful introduction, easy to read. I gave out a lot of these as Christmas and birthday presents because everyone should read St. Robert Bellarmine. It's kind of a general attack on non-Catholics here, mainly Protestants, but you'll notice that Eastern Orthodox tend to borrow a lot of Protestant arguments. All right, so yes, On the Marks of the Church is your number 1 book. That's where to start. Second book. Now, the second book, it deals with a topic, with something that is uniquely Catholic. Like the papacy is uniquely Catholic, but we're not talking about the papacy just yet. We are talking about purgatory. Purgatory is a uniquely Catholic doctrine. Only the Catholics have it. There's, I think, C.S. Lewis believed in purgatory, but like for the most part, it's not a Protestant belief. It's not an Orthodox belief. The Orthodox believe in post-death purification, but it's not the same as purgatory. And they also don't believe that fire is involved. And he gets into that right here. And so purgatory, a uniquely Catholic doctrine. This one's longer. It's about 240 pages, but it's also super easy to read. Super easy. And then once you realize he can prove a distinct Catholic doctrine, you move on to the next doctrine, which is, I got them out of order here. Pardon me. On the Roman Pontiff. Here's the main course. You have the soup. That was the salad. Here's the main course. This is a big book. It's over 600 pages. And again, an easy read. And it just goes over all the objections. It starts small, goes over scripture, goes over tradition. And most of the critics of the papacy haven't read this book. One time I asked Craig Truglia if he had read this book, and he said no, and he's written a book against the papacy. You're writing a book against the papacy, but you don't include one of our top defense of the papacy. And the thing is, his research is so thorough that very little is outdated. Very little in any of these books is outdated because his research was so thorough. So here's the main course. You've had the soup, salad. Here's the main course. Now, the dessert. The dessert is on the church. And there's 3 things included in here. On councils, which is probably the most important thing. On the church militant. And on the marks of the church. The first volume I showed you is also included in here. So you can skip it if you want or reread it because it's so good and it never hurts to get a refresher. It's only 110 or so pages anyway. But need to know the councils, because not only do we believe in papal authority, we believe in councils, ecumenical councils, general councils. What's the difference? Why are they authoritative? Again, the research in here is so thorough that very small amounts of it are obsolete. And that's essentially where you start. There is more stuff available in English, but it's not really once you do that, you're very good. Now, there are 2 more books here I want to show you, and these are optional. These are pretty much only to use against Protestants, because Catholics and Eastern Orthodox essentially, at least on paper, have essentially the same sacramental theology. And so there's this one book on the holy sacrifice of the Mass, and this book called On the Sacraments in General, on Baptism, on Confirmation. Now, these books, remember how I said all those are easy to read? These ones are a bit more technical. Not super technical. It's not like you're reading a scholastic tract from the 13th century. But it's a bit tougher. And unfortunately, it's a little dry because he gets technical. But it's not super hard to understand. And it's absolutely great stuff. And I would encourage, since Eastern Orthodox agree with Catholics more or less on sacramental theology, try these two books out, and then see if you're convinced that they speak truth, maybe try those 4 books instead. Maybe. But either way, this St. Robert Bellarmine is the Knights of the Round Table summon equivalent in Catholic apologetics, completely breaks the game, and it's no fair. But you got to do a bit of reading, and this is no small amount of reading. This, if you include this, you're probably at about 2,000 pages of all these things. But they're good pages. They're good pages, and it will break the game. And it's not even fun. Like, you'll be watching like someone like Jay Dyer, and basically all I hear is, "Hi, my name is Jay Dyer, and I have no arguments against the papacy or the ecumenical councils because of Bellarmine." Boom. That's all I hear. Yes, he has his fake arguments, but we all know that they are terrible, and all arguments start to look terrible after you've read those 4 books and more. And he's got a couple other books too, but so those are the 6 books to start with. Those 4 for sure. If you're more of a completionist and you want the sacraments, get these books. They are gold. Like, oh man, St. Robert Bellarmine is an absolute boss. But yeah, you need to read them in that order. Let me refresh your first this one, then this one. Wait a minute. Soup, salad, main course, dessert. That's what it is. Thanksgiving's coming up in Canada, so it's a good thing I use this analogy. We have Thanksgiving a bit earlier in Canada than the States, but yeah, no, it's absolutely brilliant. And yeah, if you read all those 6 books, so start with those 4. If you want, read those other 2. And if you're done, then just come to me, send me an XDM or write in the comments. I'll tell you what to read next. This is Knights of the Round Catholic apologetic style. Go start to read them now, and God bless.